Good afternoon, you are on to NTA Nationwide, and my name is Femi Johnson. Thanks for joining us. The Supreme Court has been approached for an interpretation of Nigeria's deep offshore oil revenue sharing contract between the federal government and oil exploration companies. This is to forestall a further loss of oil revenue by Nigeria and its federating state governments. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo reports.
Section 16, subsection 1 of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract Act imposes a statutory obligation on the federal government to adjust the share of the government of the federation if the price of crude oil at any time exceeds $20 per barrel. Realizing by this law that they too can be beneficiaries, 3 states of the Federation, Rivers, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom states, have now dragged the federal government before the nation's apex court, seeking an interpretation of that section, which will trigger the recovery of the nation's oil revenue.
So a ceiling, a cap was put in the enactment enabling these contracts to $20. In other words, in case it doubles up to, at the worst case. But if it should go beyond $20 a barrel, that even the 60-40 ratio in the contract shall now be reviewed so as to make the federal government have more stake in the oil of this country. And indeed, before the first oil was found under that act, oil price had gone to $28 a barrel and went up to $60 a barrel, went up to $130 a barrel. For the past 10 years, nobody, has gone to review what was supposed to be due to the federal government, which money, if back calculated, is in trillions of dollars.
Admitting that this is not a hostile case, counsel to the federal government says the government will need the input of its oil agencies to respond.
Our position as federal government of Nigeria is dependent on the information or details we get from our stakeholders in the oil industry, as in Ministry of Petroleum Resources, DPR, PPRA. All of them, we need to get information, their comments about the case. Indeed, it's a landmark case, and the information or the details we are looking for have started coming in.
The matter is now adjourned to November this year for commencement of hearing. Being a constitutional matter, 7 justices of the Supreme Court, led by Justice Rhodes-Bivo, are hearing the matter. The Supreme Court is yet again being called upon through the exercise of its original jurisdiction to salvage Nigeria, this time from its economic problems, since so far no one has thought it fit to trigger the use of Section 16, subsection 1 of the oil revenue sharing formula. From the Supreme Court, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
In another development, the Senate is to constitute an ad hoc committee that will examine issues surrounding workers' welfare. This decision followed a point of order raised by Senator Suleiman Nazik. The legislators also noted that workers have suffered neglect.
As you are aware, the funds available under the China-Africa Fund are limited, and loan applications from all African countries are funded based on first come, first served. And therefore, there's an urgent need for us to sign these loans as soon as they are approved, or we may lose out in the event that we delay in signing the loan agreement.
Other senators reiterated the call for an upward review of minimum wage for workers and condemned the inability by most states of the Federation to offset salary rise despite the bailout received from the federal government.
Born at Enugu, he grew up in Enugu and imbibed the Igbo spirit. He imbibed the spirit of republicanism, and nobody drives him by the nose.
While in the Senate, the late Adeleke served as chairman, Senate Committee.
We apologize for the mix-up on that report. It will come up in a subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, today at the House of Representatives, the House of Representatives passed for the third reading a bill for an act to amend the Psychiatric Hospital Management Board Act. Members also debated and stressed on the need for strict adherence to the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances. Ignatius Nkwo was at the National Assembly, and this is what he brought back on some of the motions. Over to you, Ignatius.
Well, the motion on the need to adhere to the doctrine of separation of power came on the floor by the minority leader, Leo Ogo. Well, members really harped on the need to adhere to the doctrine of separation of power. They said, well, there's no democracy that will succeed without observing such democratic principles. I have with me Representative Rimande Shawulu. He's here to tell us more on what that motion seeks to achieve. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, in the first place, if you look at the fact that most of the advanced countries in the world, indeed, the revolution that led to the Industrial Revolution that has brought the world to where it is now was hinged on the fact that we had separate arms of government doing different things, checking one another. And the moment you remove that, you create systemic problems. And of course, you recall, like I did point out, the most advanced, the most peaceful countries in the world today are the countries where the arms of government are operating separately in their different compartments. They are not adversaries. They are not fighting one another.
It's now back to the studio.
Ignatius will be expecting the full report in our next bulletin. And to further demonstrate its commitment to the nation's security, the Federal Executive Council has approved about 4 billion naira for operations on seas and land borders. Government is also considering the update of the Federal Vaccine Production Laboratory in Lagos for the nation's needs and contributions to global fight against diseases. Said as correspondent Judiciary reports on this and other deliberations at the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja.
Of the amount approved by the Federal Executive Council, 3.8 billion naira for fast-moving vessels by NIMASA for its operations, while the sum of 358,386,000 naira for the purchase of 56 border patrol vehicles. Minister of Transportation, that of Information and Health, briefed the press on the Council's deliberations.
One was for NIMASA, Minister of Transportation, that has to do with the purchase of fast-going vessels. Lease, rather. Lease, not purchase, lease of fast-going vessels to enable NIMASA to perform its responsibilities on the high sea, basically in the brown water.
That people have shown interest so that we can start putting into place a mechanism for local production of vaccines. For quite some years, we benefited from the Gavi mechanism. Gavi is an international finance mechanism that enables developing countries to procure vaccines at very cheap prices. But in view of the rebasing of the Nigerian economy, we are graduating from Gavi by 2022. And that means that by 2022, Nigeria will have to pay the full cost of the vaccines. So if we have to pay for the full cost of the vaccines, I think it makes economic sense. And also, in keeping with our commitment to global health protection, that we should produce our vaccines locally, especially those ones that for diseases that are prevalent.
Yeah, of course, you noticed that the president was not there. He was not there because he actually sent word that he wanted to rest today, and he asked the VP to preside over today's meeting. In addition, he also asked that all his files be taken home to him and will be working from home today.
For the completion of the EFCC headquarters, still under construction, the Federal Executive Council also approved the sum of 5 billion naira. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has corrected the erroneous information in a section of the media of his post-fake press briefing on Wednesday, April 26, noting that he never said the president is to work from home. In a statement issued by the Special Assistant to the Minister, Segun Adeyemi, the minister said the president only decided to work from home on that particular day, as different from working from home henceforth. He said the headlines in a section of the media Buhari to work from home credited to Lai Mohammed is a misrepresentation of his statement at the briefing. He quoted from the relevant section, which said the president wanted to rest today and asked the vice president to preside over Wednesday's meeting and further requested that files be sent to him at home. Constrained to respond to the headline story in a national newspaper of Wednesday, April 26th, that the Buhari government is harassing former President Jonathan's family. The paper said former President Goodluck Jonathan made the allegation in a new book against the run of play written by the chairman of the This Day editorial board, Mr. Olusegun Adeniyi. The former president also reportedly disagreed with the style being used by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in fighting corruption. In a statement, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said, "It is obvious that corruption had an uninhibited course during the recent past." It said President Buhari is resolute in the crusade against graft, which is not targeted against anyone or group, and is a firm believer that national interest must supersede personal interest. The Nigerian Air Force is to establish 109 quick response unit group to replace Nigerian Air Force Institute of Safety at Ikwetu Ijesha in Osun State with a robust and versatile unit with prompt and effective deployment to meet any emerging security challenges in the southwest zone of the country. This was by the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, at the commissioning of projects at the NAF base Ikwetu Ijesha in Osun State. Let's join Olajide Bello for details.
One of the key drivers of the vision of the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, is human capital development through a robust and result-oriented training for enhanced professional performance. To enhance professional performance of a fighting force like the Nigerian Air Force, Air Marshal Abubakar says it is essential to develop an enduring safety culture across boards. On the significance of the commissioned projects to the Air Force and the host community, Chief of the Air Staff speak.
So what we have done here today is to see how we can increase the number of infrastructure on ground so that we can post in additional officers and men to this location, not only to support the local security challenges here, but indeed to add value to dealing with the security challenges in the southwest generally.
That's why the prevailing economic challenges in the country, the Chief of Air Staff has been able to make significant progress on diverse fronts. The Nigerian Air Force has indeed been very fortunate to have such a pragmatic and committed leadership with foresight at this difficult period of our national life.
Governor Rauf Aregbesola of Osun State, represented by his deputy, commended the contributions of the Nigerian Air Force in the fight against insurgency while reaffirming the state government's continued support in the state.
The Air Force should therefore be commended for investing in health of its personnel. In this vision and mission, you share in the dream of our administration and complement same.
The Nigerian Air Force Institute of Safety is being relocated to Kaduna Base and is post-ones towards restructuring and repositioning the Air Force. From Ikwetu Ijesha in Osun State, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Court rejects plea bargain by INEC staff. These and more as we join Jennifer in our Lagos studio. Good afternoon, Jennifer.
Now, good evening. Thank you for joining us in Lagos. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today held that a plea bargain agreement between the EFCC and INEC Director and Administrative Secretary Chris Nwosu, charged with money laundering, cannot avail the accused. Justice Mohammed Idris held that under the provision of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the accused deserves a heavier sentence. Viola Chimuba was at the court.
The EFCC had charged the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diziani Alison Madueke, and 3 officials of INEC, Christian Nwosu, Yisa Olariwaju Adedoyin, and Tijani Bashir, for money laundering. When the 3 officials were arraigned, Nwosu pleaded guilty to the charges, while Adedoyin and Bashir pleaded not guilty. The commission had then informed the court of a plea bargain agreement between EFCC and Nwosu before adjourning for sentencing of the accused. In his judgment today, Justice Idris held that the penalty set out in paragraph 4 of the plea bargain agreement entered into by the accused with the EFCC is contrary to Section 16(2)(b) of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Justice Idris further held that the Act stipulates that the accused is liable upon conviction to an imprisonment term of not less than 2 years or fine in the sum of not less than 10 million naira or both. Christian Nwosu, INEC Director and Administrative Secretary, received 30 million naira bribe. He had refunded 5 million naira to EFCC under the plea bargain agreement and tendered documents of landed property he purchased for 25 million naira in Delta State. Further hearing continues on the 3rd of May. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
Now, the elimination of multiple taxation and reduction in working capital loan, as well as access to forex, have been identified as panacea to the revamping of moribund industries in the country. Chairman Ad Hoc Committee on Tactical Committee on Economic Recession, Bode Ayoride, said this after a tour of some moribund industries in Lagos. Abola De Salami has the report.
For some time now, Nigerians have been faced with economic recession following a drastic drop in the crude oil price from the international markets. As part of efforts to bring Nigeria out of the woods, House of Representatives threw a motion on the need for more proactive steps to abate the current economic recession, constituted an ad hoc committee to interface with ministries, agencies, and manufacturing companies to consider possible ways of returning the economy to a path of growth and stability. The committee thereafter visited some factories in Lagos to ascertain reasons responsible for their closure. Some of the moribund factories visited had last operated in 10 years. This they attributed to high tariff and multiple taxation.
The banks consistently increase the interest rates to the detriment of the manufacturing sector. Audit and visits. Needless audit and visits which constantly drain the companies were carried out by different agencies.
Chairman of the ad hoc committee, Bode Ayoride, assured the manufacturers of government's resolve to stabilize the economy in order to ensure smooth business operation.
What we found is very disturbing. So we found out that most of these companies, they have laid off staff. We have a company that used to employ 1,350, now having about 31 staff now. We have one that had employed over 1,000, having no staff at all. Nigerians should be comforted that people that are in saddle of the governance will do the right thing to quickly exit the economic recession.
The committee members were also at the Keja House to acquaint Governor Kyuriambode of their mission in Lagos. In Lagos, Abola De Salami, NTA News.
Okay, that's all at this hour from Lagos. Back to Femi in Abuja for more on Nationwide News. Femi, over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And towards sustainability of the federal government housing policy, a memorandum of understanding has been signed between the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation and Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company at Debola Brucelin Sunday has more.
Chairman and Executive Secretary of the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, Yemi Adelakun and Anatufika, signed on behalf of the board, while Professor Charles Inyagete signed for Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, who witnessed the signing of the 13 billion naira MOU, said this will enable more civil servants access the loan.
Also, these traditional sources of finance cater for others outside the civil service, hence their capacity to meet the demands of civil servants are limited and they urgently require recapitalization.
This is just the first phase of the loan because it's going to be continuous as we are working very closely with the Central Bank of Nigeria so that this mortgage re-origination will be a continuous thing.
13 billion naira, and that covers 5,665 loans to be exact. which were created some years ago. So new construction can take place and new mortgages can be created.
We are going to issue certificate of occupancy through the minister, based on the approval of the minister, to all the beneficiaries that meet up with the requirements.
The Memorandum of Understanding is expected to reduce the housing deficit in Nigeria, especially as it affects public servants. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
The Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, says the federal government is committed to the revival of the country's premier cement industry, the Nigerian Cement Company, Nigercem. It was while inspecting the premises of the company as part of his nationwide tour of his concerns under his ministry. Chinaza John reports.
The Nigerian Cement Company in Calago, which used to be a major producer of cement in the country, collapsed due to maladministration, undue interference and neglect by its owners. The Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, assured the core investor of federal government's determination to bring the factory back on stream before the shortest possible time, stressing that local production remains the answer to a robust economy.
This speaks to everything that we have identified in our roadmap, that we've been pushing at every opportunity, that local processing and beneficiation is the solution to our industrialization agenda and our diversification program.
Ebonyi State Governor Chief David Omahi, who expressed contentment at the efforts of the federal government, said the state government will extend the Access Road project to Benue State boundaries.
So our position as government is that Ebonyi State should be part and parcel of whatever thing that is going on.
The core investor of the company, Dr. Cletus Ibetu, pleaded with the federal government to help the company access foreign exchange for the total overhaul and revamping of the company. He said that so far, $94 million have been spent towards the reactivation of Nigercem.
We also have no doubt that your visit will work to ignite action.
Dr. Fayemi, in company of the Minister of State, Dr. Abubakar Bawa Buhari, also visited other mining sites in Abakaliki and Ikwo Council areas of the state. In Abakaliki, Chinaza John, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National President Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria has reaffirmed its commitment towards boosting rice production in the country to augment the ban on rice importation by the federal government. It stated this in Yola at the inauguration of the Northeast office of the association. Simon Asha reports.
The Secretariat, which includes Office of the Chairman, Secretary, Waiting Room and Conference Hall, is to enable smooth administrative work of the association. The National President Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Aminu Grino, says, aside the official commissioner of the Secretariat, is also in the state to see for himself how reform has impacted on the ordinary farmer and to also participate in the 2016-2017 official closure of the dry season Anchor Borrowers Rice Farming Program and the flag off of the rainy season rice farming activities in the state. He noted with appreciation that since the ban on importation of foreign rice by the federal government, RIFAN in collaboration with the federal government is able to encourage local rice farming, which has since augmented the ban on rice importation in the country.
Already we are feeding the country. The expectation is we can feed this country and we are feeding the country. And for your information, there will be no day again that rice will be imported into this country.
With the refund investment, whatever is generated in rice production will be invested to boost the socio-economic well-being of the ordinary farmer. In Yola, Simon Asha, NTA News.
The United States Agency for International Development is engaging relevant key players in crop and livestock production towards finding a lasting solution to farmers' pastoral conflict in Nigeria. The Forum on Conflict resolution taking place in Abuja also recognizes the role of farmers and herders in the socio-economic development of the country that is being threatened by the conflict. Musa Baba Aliu has more.
It has been observed that violence arising from disputes between pastoralists and farmers has resulted into the loss of over $13 billion, apart from dozens of people that were either killed or displaced. The conflict is said to be arising from competition for fertile land, access to water and grazing routes.
The pastoralist is under serious pressure, and he is also a victim from all sorts of vices. He's a victim of cattle rustling, he's a victim of kidnapping.
When they go into farms, the farmers retaliate by either killing their cows, and they end up retaliating. So
to strengthen the efforts of the federal and state governments towards putting an end to the crisis, the United States Agency for International Development brought representatives of farmers and pastoralists to the discussion table.
I disagree with anyone who says this violent conflict is inevitable. I believe that the efforts of all the participants in this conference over the past 2 days demonstrate how conflicting groups can come together to work out their differences.
Unwarranted statements by government officials should be regulated, should be controlled. Government should create farming areas. There should be fairness in dispensation of justice, and that government should focus on the 14 existing grazing reserves, as some are no longer in the hands of the herdsmen.
The meeting identified the role of traditional rulers in conflict resolution with an appeal to them to take the center stage in resolving farmers-herdsmen conflict. British, Canadian and Swedish governments are also supporting Nigeria in her bid to curtail the conflict. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
You are still watching NTA Nationwide, and Lami in Maiduguri is standing by with more reports. Hello, Lami.
Hello, Femi. It's good to have you join us in Maiduguri. Eligible voters in Borno State whose areas are not accessible will be registered at internally displaced persons camps across the state by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. INEC's National Commissioner, Northeast, Air Vice Marshal Ahmed Tijani Muazu, stated this while flagging off voter registration exercise in Maiduguri. Nomi Aboku reports.
Inspecting facilities provided for the exercise in Maiduguri, Air Vice Marshal Ahmed Tijani Muazu stressed that the credibility of every electoral process starts with voter registration. He noted that Borno has a special case where a large number of persons suffered devastation due to activities of insurgents, and therefore the Commission has made all the arrangements for them to be registered.
As for the IDPs, INEC is fully aware of the challenge that we are facing. We understand a large number of them have been going back to their local governments. Already, some INEC staff have moved to the local governments that are accessible now. The ones that are inaccessible, INEC chairman was contacted yesterday. We have understood the number of people, the volume of people that are out there, back at home. We are going to reach them.
The National Commissioner noted that the exercise will enable eligible persons who have reached the age of 18 from the last registration date and those who relocated, as well as those cases of lost or damaged PVCs, to be registered. Administrative Secretary INEC Borno State Abdul Hamid Buba disclosed that PVCs not collected will be distributed during the period, as the Commission is in custody of over 87,000 unclaimed cards. Electoral Officer of Maiduguri Metropolitan Council Mika Lukuma appealed to the public to take advantage of the exercise to register in persons and not by proxy. The voter registration exercise, which started today, is continuous, with 135 trained staff of the Commission deployed to all centers across Borno State. In Maiduguri, Naomi Aboku, NTA News.
Borno State Police Command has paraded 10 suspects alleged to have been involved in various crimes within Maiduguri metropolis. Commissioner of Police Damian Chukwu disclosed this while briefing newsmen in Maiduguri. Yagum Subuka reports that the suspects will be prosecuted.
Briefing newsmen shortly before parading the suspect, CP Damian Chukwu said over 300 bulls and 157 goats and sheep were recovered by troops of 8 Task Force Division Mongunu from suspected Boko Haram elements and handed over to the command for investigation.
After a reasonable time, we shall have left with no option than to go to a court of competent jurisdiction to get the necessary orders to dispose of this property by public auction.
He further disclosed that one of the suspects, Ishaku Apoku, a student of University of Maiduguri, was arrested for attempted extortion, theft and unlawful possession of Nigerian army uniform. Also arrested was a gang of notorious tricycle snatchers, as well as syndicates engaged in grinding pepper mixed with sawdust for sale to the public. Boko Haram collaborators intercepted at Alangarno axis of Domboa local government were among those paraded. Damien Chukwu informed that Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris has deployed 14 sniffer dogs to Borno State to assist the command in identifying suicide bomb locations. All the suspects interviewed admitted involvement in the various crimes, promising not to repeat it. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subakar, NTA News.
And those are the stories from this end. It's back to Femi in Abuja for more reports.
Thank you, Lami. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. You're still watching NTA Nationwide, and we now pause for some messages. The news continue shortly. Do stay.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
You know, after 4 years of marriage, he still treats me like we're married today. You're so lucky. I am.
I wish I were you.
God, why? Why me?
I wish I was in your shoes. Let us swap positions. We all say these words, but wait a moment. Look beneath the surface. All that glitters may not be gold. The style of Joe may not look good on Peter.
All these boys wearing body hug up and down, making guy left, right, and center. Are they better than me?
You always look mature in your agbada. So what is this you're wearing today?
Your rib-cracking comedy, Professor John Bull, tackles another social issue in Copy. Those who wish to be like others.
Look at me going to a supermarket with common 100 naira bread when my mates are buying things worth 35,000 naira.
No two fingers are equal. Every family must live within their means.
Showing at 8:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Friday on NTA Network International and Star Times.
Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow.
Welcome to the new speed of life.
TV Guide magazine is out with fabulous Fab Funke Akindele Bello, aka Jennifer, adorning the cover. She opens a secret not known even to her family. Find out the secret. NTA turns 40 this year. The challenges, the emerging trends in broadcasting, and the way forward. Weekend Dealer 2. Meet the team behind the biggest deal on NTA. Is food still the way to a man's heart? If not, what else? This edition is hot and juicy. Meet your star faces on screen. Entertainment, fashion, young minds, social media, and great personality.
This is idiosyncratic and heterodox.
Yes, Professor John Bull is on the radar. Find out what makes this program the rave of the moment on NTA Network, and for the prof,
over and out.
TV Guide. Ask your vendors or book your copy at every NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, still your indispensable companion.
Hi there, my name is Fumi Wakama of the NTA. I'd like to introduce to you my friend and colleague, hardworking, creative and vibrant reporter,
Ruben Okala, NTA News.
Ruben Okala, the saint as we all call him. All this while we thought Saint Ruben is just a crack reporter, but he's also a great musician. I'd like like to invite you to the public presentation of his album titled Breaking News, coming up on Saturday, the 29th of April, 2017, at the Arts and Culture Center, opposite UTC, Area 10, Abuja, at 4 o'clock in the evening. Red carpet starts at 3 p.m. I will be there. I hope to see you there.
Admission forms for the 2017-2018 academic session of NTA Television College JAWS into its diploma programs are now on sale. The diploma programs are in film and TV production, broadcast journalism, and TV engineering technology. Applicants are required to have at least 5 credits, including English language and mathematics at SSC, NECO, or GCO levels in not more than 1 sitting. Application forms can be obtained from the TV College Refi JAWS or at any NTA zonal centers nationwide on payment of a no-refundable fee of 7,500 naira in bank draft in favor of NTA Television College. Completed application forms should be returned to the Office of the Academic Secretary, NTA Television College, or the Center of Purchase on or before 28th of July 2017. For further inquiries, please call 0806 980 9807 or 0703 660 7155. NTA Television College, training you to be the best you can be.
You're still on to NTA Nationwide. Thanks for staying tuned. The controversy surrounding the missing documents to the 2017 appropriation bill notwithstanding, Senate Leader Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan is assuring Nigerians that there is nothing to worry about as the Senate is determined to pass the budget in good time for implementation. The Senate leader gave the assurance while speaking to newsmen after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The Senate leader, Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, was in the State House to confer with President Muhammadu Buhari on new as well as pending executive bills and requests before the National Assembly to enable him lobby his colleagues effectively for easy passage at plenary. Their discussions, held behind closed doors, lasted about 45 minutes.
There should be continuous engagement, continuous and sustained interaction between the executive side of government and the legislature, especially at the level we are. And that is essentially why I've come to see Mr. President, to ensure that I get my briefings right so that I can always market presidential and executive requests so well and so effectively.
Senator Ahmed Lawan used the forum to allay fears in some quarters that following the raid on the residence of Senator Danjuma Goje, who chairs the Senate Committee on Appropriation, further action on the 2017 budget is put on hold. He said although the process has been affected with the allegations of missing documents coupled with the trauma the lawmaker had to go through, work on the budget has not been suspended.
There is nothing to worry about. The National Assembly had intended to pass the budget actually in March, but because of some of the parameters that we had little or no control over, we couldn't pass it in March. It was our design and desire to pass it within this month, April, and all of you here know what happened. But the good news is we are doing everything possible to ensure that we catch up the lost time, and by the grace of God, I'm thinking by next week we should be able to finish our own work and pass the budget for Mr. President to sign.
President Muhammadu Buhari was also briefed by the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, on efforts at improving the arteries of development as critical sector of the economy.
The mandate is clear: fix the railways, fix the airports, ensure that the maritime sector works. And it's a huge approval that he had given on the maritime sector in terms of a new architecture of security. I can't say whether we're doing well or not, but I can say that we're fixing the railways. In the next 2-3 weeks, we'll be coming back to Federal Executive Council to seek approval to conclude negotiation with GE on the narrow gauge. Once that is done, what you will see by May 29th is that we'll begin to bring in coaches and locomotives that will begin to go at least at a very slow speed until we are able to improve on the tracks. The other thing happening is that the Lagos-Ibadan railway is already ongoing, so construction has commenced. What we're working hard on is to ensure that we focus on Kano, Kaduna, and Port Harcourt, Calabar. That we're looking for funds from the China Exim Bank. You're aware that Abuja Airport is operational now. We're going to focus again on the others. And finally, I'm sure that you're aware that, like the Vice President did announce at the AMA program, that we want to deal with the issue of piracy and security in our waterways.
Mr. Rotimi Amechi's meeting with the president lasted about 1 hour. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The inability of local governments in Nigeria to perform their constitutional duties has been blamed on undue interference by the state government. Experts on NTA's breakfast show Good Morning Nigeria submitted that undue interference of state government is majorly responsible for their redundancy and seeming decline. Joy Uzo reports.
Local government councils, as a third tier of government, are closest to the people and considered to be an important facilitator of economic and social development at the grassroots and by extension the entire nation. But despite this importance, they have not been able to make their presence felt on the people. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria program say the misinterpretation of the constitution guiding their existence has made them vulnerable to undue interference from the state government and rendered them ineffective.
Governors who have been elected democratically have refused to become Democrats. They have elected to stifle the functions and powers of the local government system.
Where they fail to discharge their duties, then the citizenry can resort to recall of their members to ensure that errant are brought to book.
While pointing out that the process of electing local government officials needs to be reviewed, the guests advocated full autonomy of the local governments, especially in the area of allocation, as a way forward.
If people cannot obey the provisions of the present constitution, then I personally have no hope that they will obey any amendments that will be put forward.
Give the local government system their tenure. Let them be tenured as the state governors and presidents are. Let their funds be directly allocated to them. Let their autonomy and how their structures are enshrined as the governors are.
The senators, the House of Assembly members are not the key consumers of services. The electorates are expected to stand up because the local government is the closest level of government to them. They are expected to struggle, to mount pressure to ensure that the local governments provide services for them.
Nigeria has a total of 774 local government councils, with many development areas additionally created by state houses of assembly. In Abuja, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the need for unions to continue to follow laid down rules and regulations for a successful outcome of their elections dominate discussions of the 10th Nigerian Union of Pensioners National Delegates Conference, which is taking place in Kaduna. Mohammed Lawal Baba has the rest of that report.
This year's delegate conference is coming at a time when plight of pensioners is still a source of worry among stakeholders, and the presidential directive that monies be released for the settlement of arrears they owe for many years. The Kaduna conference was also meant to make those in attendance to strategize so that all bottlenecks identified with smooth pension operation in Nigeria are removed for betterment of all. National President of the Union, Dr. Abel Afolayan, highlighted the pathetic plight of some pensioners.
I want to state clearly that Nigerian Constitution is well equipped to take care of its pensioners if only our leaders will respect the Constitution which they have sworn to uphold.
Chairman House Committee on Pension, Hassan Adamu Shekarau, and President of Nigeria Labour Congress, Ayuba Wabba, were of the view that human capital development is now being relegated to the background. Muhammad Badar Abubakar and Ibrahim Gaidam of Jigawa and Yobe states were specially recognized for their concern to pensioners.
We have a very robust pension plan. We have a pension fund.
The future plan is that they should be continuously getting their pensions and gratuities as and when due.
New national officials to run the affairs of the union are expected to emerge at the end of the conference. In Kaduna, Muhammad Lawal Baba, NTA News.
Still on union matters, Nigeria value system will continue to be safeguarded from corruption, perversion, and undue Western influence. This was the consensus when members of Radio and Television Theatre Arts Workers Union, RATAU, visited the Executive Director, National Film and Video Censors Board in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports.
Film and video mirror the values of the society. It is in recognition of its importance in upholding value system and value orientation that the National Films and Video Censors Board was established in 1993. The visit by members of RATAU is to encourage the Chief Executive, National Films and Video Censors Board, Thomas Adedayo, to use his wealth of experience to reposition the Nigerian image across the globe using the instrumentality of film and video. National President RATAU, Kabir Garba Tsani, also urged the head of the Film and Video Censors Board to prioritize the welfare of staff.
RATAU will continue to encourage members to be favorably disposed toward novel initiatives that will transform and change the National Films and Video Censors Board for greater service delivery.
Executive Director, National Films and Video Censors Board, Thomas Adedayo, reiterating that the entertainment industry is the second contributor to Nigeria's GDP, speaks on piracy.
Already within the censorship board, there's going to be a rollout of operations from next week. There's a team working on the field already, as I'm telling you, going into the market to see exactly the position of things.
In Abuja, Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
And back to Abuja, where the Federal Capital Territory Administration has inaugurated a special task force on traffic decongestion of the Abuja-Cairo-Yanya-Jikoyi-Karishi axis of the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Musa Bello, who inaugurated the task force in Abuja, gave a 6-month deadline for the assignment. Mitari reports.
For some time now, the long stretch of the Yanya-Karu-Jikoyi-Karshi axis has been characterized by poor sanitary condition, traffic gridlock, illegal makeshift structures along the road corridor, and attendant security challenges. The FCT minister says this is unacceptable and must be reversed within 6 months by the task force, requesting members to first sensitize the public on the assignment.
It's one aspect of Abuja where I see people will collect their refuse and drop on the road median. I have never ever seen that anywhere in the world. And definitely you all agree with me that this is not and should not be the Abuja of our dream.
Major General Emmanuel Nyenge, who is heading the special task force, promised to deliver on the assignment.
I hereby pledge that this task force will complete its assignment within the allotted time frame.
The task force, which has personnel drawn from the military, the police, and other paramilitary agencies, is expected to also provide alternative arrangement for refuse disposal by residents along the axis. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The need for a robust database in the country that will not only promote safety and national security, but also assist in the fight against international crimes and global terrorism forms the thrust of discussion at a training workshop for security agencies by the Road Safety Corps in Abuja. Aliu Tuku reports.
The workshop, which is on National Vehicle Identification Scheme, is to serve as a synergy between security agencies and to create opportunities for all the services to operate on the same level. With a more advanced web-based verification portal for driver's license and number plates, the system will produce vital information like the demographics, biometrics, and offenses committed by the holders of the driver's license and number plates. This, the Corps Marshal said, makes the new portal necessary for all security agencies in the country to key into and be on the same page with its technicalities and application in identifying suspects and perpetrators of crimes and criminal acts.
More security features have been built in the system to make it impossible for the licenses to be faked or obtained by proxy.
This feat by the Federal Road Safety Corps using information technology should be supported by all Nigerians.
The innovativeness of the FRSC, I beg your pardon, is a positive development, especially
in the fight against insecurity.
The workshop is the second in the series in the Corps' commitment to sharing its data with other security agencies. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
Public hearing on alleged overbilling by the electricity distribution company. There is more as we join Chair Gonu in Enugu. Hello, Chair Gonu.
Hello, Femi. Good afternoon and welcome to Enugu. Electricity consumers in Enugu West Senatorial Zone of Enugu State have suggested that a Consumer Protection Association be instituted in the state to check the undue exploitation of consumers by the electricity distribution company in the state. This was the view of consumers from the zone at a public hearing on power and billing situation held at the State House of Assembly. Susan Eze has the details.
Declaring the first of the three-day public hearing open on behalf of the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the Special Committee on Electricity Crisis in the state, Mr. Don Ozobado, said the action of the House is not to witch hunt any individual or organization, but to protect the interest of the public. He maintained that Enugu State is investor-friendly, but the actions of one investor must not sabotage the efforts of government or lead to the collapse of other businesses in the state.
The economy of the people of Enugu State is being attacked. Small-scale businesses are no more thriving because all they make go to EEDC.
Stakeholders from the 5 local governments in Enugu West Senatorial Zone and representatives of civil society organizations in a litany of complaints against the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EEDC, submitted that the company must stop estimated bills and supply subscribers with prepaid meters. They also urged the regulatory organ of government to be alive to their duties.
From the 10th of December to the 12th of January, we were without power. But the entire community were billed for this period.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has the principal responsibility of protecting the consumers.
Officials of EEDC, the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, and the metering agency, though invited to the public hearing, were all absent, except for a letter from EEDC seeking for a postponement of the hearing. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
In recent times, it appears there is a paradigm shift from the crave for foreign to locally manufactured goods due to increased sensitization by the government to encourage local production. In this report, Chika Okori examines the factor responsible for the change and challenges encountered by manufacturers.
Increasing campaign by government to encourage Nigerians to develop appetite for made-in-Nigerian products is coming in no better time than now, when the country is facing a lot of economic challenges ranging from unemployment, hunger, and global fall in the price of crude oil. Outside that, locally manufactured goods are affordable and durable. Respondents explained that patronizing these products will in no small measure boost the nation's gross domestic product, GDP, conserve foreign reserve, and aids technology transfer.
I really patronize made in Nigerian materials very often because of its simplicity and comfortability.
While appealing for funds, entrepreneurs identified epileptic power supply, sourcing of raw materials, and overtaxation as major challenges hindering the growth and sustenance of manufacturing companies in Nigeria.
We are paying so much money to government, even the NEPA, or what they call a power holding company. The bill they are giving on us is too much.
Government can help me get a machine that will make it quicker. At least I can expand the industry.
Production, it will last more than all this foreign something.
Taking decisive action on how to address the teething problems and increase patronage of locally made goods by every stakeholder in the Nigerian project, the people say remain a smart move to economic recovery. In Abakaliki, Chika Okori, NTA News.
That's it from Enugu. Femi, over to you now for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chair Gano. Let's join Talatu Ezerike on Global Tables.
Kenya's veteran politician Raila Odinga has been confirmed to be the main opposition candidate in August presidential election. Mr. Odinga, who is running the fourth time for the presidency, will represent the National Super Alliance, a coalition of the country's main opposition parties. Still on political issues, German Chancellor Angela Merkel says some British people have illusions about discussing UK's future ties with the EU at the same time as nailing down UK's Brexit terms. She noted that future relationship will be determined when issues such as UK payments to the EU are resolved. This comes as an Israeli missile strike caused a large explosion and fire at a military site near Damascus International Airport. And research findings show that the use of a cheap drug can stop bleeding in women after childbirth. The drug was invented in Japan in the 1960s. That is a long global tidbit. Talatu Ezerike, NTA News.
And for Sports Update 2, Tamara Ibiwe.
Following the signing of a 2.5 billion naira deal in Lagos Wednesday by the Nigerian Football Federation over the next 5 years, top echelon of football administration in the country say the sponsorship will aid national teams' qualification for future tournaments, as well as ease the debt burden on the part of the federation. In the bid to